Could you just run through for me one more time, uh, maybe some scriptural backing for your version of like what the soul is and what happens to it at the point of death and then resurrection? Are we all just kind of in the same boat until we die? Then there's the judgment, and then some of us get to live on eternally. Some of us just die at that point, or people get sent to hell and then they're tortured and then they die at some point. Just give me
Yeah,
a little bit of a bigger picture.
yeah. Well, I'm no hell expert, but I think that I mean, if you look, Genesis 2 is a very clear example of the excuse me the the human becoming a soul, a nephesh. Um,
Mm,
the Greek word I think is psychos, and uh, the the language then throughout the rest of the Old Testament, at least, is with respect to humans when they die, is you go to sleep, which is I think metaphor or euphemism for death. Um, it's a polite speech. Abram will go to his fathers in a good old age,
mm,
and the spirit, the breath that's within us, that that is, I mean, so universal. When you look at instances where the ruach or the nishmat, which is the breath, the spirit, the ha, as we would say in Hawaii, um, it's actually not ours; it's God's. And when we die, it goes back to God.
mm,
Jesus, quoting Psalm 31, says this in Luke on the cross: "Into your hands I commit my spirit." So the spirit within us is that which animates or vivifies, brings life. And when we stop breathing, we stop being alive. But we are souls. The New Testament, off the top of my head, it's pretty sparse as to what happens, at least between death and resurrection. So you get the thief on the cross. Today you'll be with me in paradise. Paul says, better to be absent from the body, present with Christ. And then maybe like the souls groaning beneath the throne in Revelation. But um, if we're honest, like exactly what Revelation is doing, maybe a little more complicated than some other passages. So I think a lot of scholars talk about something called soul sleep. We are dead, but it's our whole self that's dead, and we will be raised from the dead in the probably, and I would put it somewhere in the same event as the second coming, and then
mm.
all will be judged either by their allegiance to Christ or um, whatever merit they think they got going for them.
So maybe someone would push back on that a little bit, and I've heard this before, and they would say, "Okay, well, I don't think it's soul sleep. Like the thief on the cross, Christ said, well, today you'll be with me in paradise." I have heard a response to that though. If you look up in some commentaries, um, paradise could also just be referring to like the positive side of Sheol, whether you think that's sleeping or not sleeping. Um, what do you think about that?
Well, I don't know. Again, I'm no expert on it. I mean, Sheol is, again, it's like, what is Sheol? Even
Mm,
God doesn't abandon people in Sheol. That's what the
mhm,
Psalms say. So this idea of, Sheol is the place where we're separated from God. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't find that in Scripture, but so many of
mhm,
these readings are there because our starting point is we already know we're eternal. And so we
mm.
then take that as our hermeneutic or our rubric to then interpret. But if we're not eternal, then it gives us a whole different lens of saying, what does this mean? So, um,
Hmm.
uh,
Interesting.
yeah, and yeah, I think there's, not conflating some of the words is quite helpful.